Okay, and we're live. Sorry for the people that are on for the delay in getting this up, as seemingly always happens. Technical difficulties. Hopefully, outside of maybe my video quality being a little shitty, we should be good to go. So yeah. Today, joining us for critiquing is David, or Sohno Photos.
And we're live.
Oh, crap.
Sorry.
Oh, man. I thought you made me freak out. I'm like, am I echoing on my end? Shit, because I have like a million places that could have been doing it.
I'm a noob.
Oh, man. Okay, well, with that, that's a great response face. So let's try that again. Joining us today is David of Sohno Photo. David, if you want to give us a quick intro about yourself, how long you've been shooting, you know, that kind of stuff.
Quick intro. My name is David Pinsno, aka Sohno Photos. I'm from New Hampshire, born and raised. I've been going to conventions since 2011, starting with Anime Boston, and I've been shooting since 2016.
Cool. Have you mostly do convention photos or location photos or mix or what's your
Trying to mix it up this year. For the most part, I'm doing convention photos, but I'm trying to do a lot more on location this year.
Cool.
Oh.
Awesome. Then, without any further ado, let's jump into this. Actually, I'm going to say this. We're trying a bit different of a format this time. Hopefully it makes everything a bit more streamlined, and Sarah and I will hopefully not be nitpicking as much as usual, but probably not gonna. We're still gonna nitpick, maybe just not as much.
No promises.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it works out well. As always, we love your feedback as to how this is doing. So if you're enjoying it, let us know. If you're not, and feel free to comment throughout the stream. So like if you have thoughts on photos, comment. If you have questions for us, comment. We'll be following the chat closely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start it off with the first image from Amanda Swanson. If there's any question, we're doing these in alphabetical order by name. So that's if you're expecting to see yours. That'll give you a roughly idea of when you'll show up.
Cool. I'll start. So I'm very excited about this because actually, like, small short story, but Amanda has been following me for like a really long time, like before I even got started in photography. I think so. And she's been a loyal follower, and I finally met her for the first time at Cosplay this year, and that was super stellar. So I'm glad that the first photo that I am critiquing tonight is her stuff. Because I've also been creepily following your stuff since you started photography, which I know has been for a few years now, I think. The first thing that really caught my eye about this photo is your like color grading for this. You've really improved since like when you first started. Like I really like how you've brought color to your shadows and, you know, color to your highlights. I like the vintage feel that it's giving. Not sure who the character is, but she just has a very like 50s vibe to her, and the color grading that you've done for this photo helps like bring that forward even more. So I'm really digging that.
You want me to jump in with something, Sarah?
Sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the color grading side of things. It's the
Color grading is nice.
It's a really nice tone. It's not the dustiness of it works well with the color. It kind of gives me, I don't know what it's from, but gives me a very Fallout vibe, and yeah. I think that it works really well for that.
Power suit or something from Fallout.
Yeah. One of the areas where I think maybe could use a little work in this photo is the composition slash posing. Man, by now, if you've been listening, you should.
I already know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, you should know something about me. If you're submitting a Dutch angle photo, chances are I'm going to talk about the Dutch angle. It's not. I don't think it's like a egregious example of a Dutch angle, but
I don't think it's really that bad with this image, though.
So my viewpoint on Dutch angles is I feel like you need a very strong reason to be using a Dutch angle. Like, there needs to be an artistic reason why the Dutch angle was used, not just outside of I turned the camera and it's more artsy now. Because that's kind of like what I get from this shot. Because like I don't think this shot's any worse if you shoot it straight on, and I feel less like she's falling over if it's straight on, or upright, I should say. And I think kind of combo that with her pose, where she's kind of coming out of the corner, and she's very straight. And I get probably the armor's probably not easy to pose in, but like her arm is straight in front of her. We lose her back arm, so her form is all in one shape. One like.
Plus her hand kind of like blends into her forearm too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of becomes this like one shape, and it's it exists as like one line coming out of the bottom left corner, and it just kind of makes it feel a little less dynamic. Like if you, I think, maybe had her turn her body just a bit more, so that and had her arm a bit out. That way you can see a bit more separation of her front arm from her body, and then just see a little bit of her back arm. I think it could really make the pose look more dynamic, and then the composition would, I think, fall a bit more into place, just purely based on that change in posing.
Agreed. I think that upper shift of just her upper body, where basically you would just say like keep your legs where they are, but just rotate your upper body a little bit towards like you, like the photographer. It would help give her body, like her silhouette of her body, more shape. And by shape, I mean obviously she's very boxy right now, but like be able to see more of what the costume has to offer. If that makes any sense. If it doesn't, Amanda, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see her, because it looks like her legs kind of go into one. Maybe have a little bit of space between the legs. But you guys touched on pretty much everything. I might have brought down the highlights in the face just a little bit.
Yeah,
they're very hot right now.
Yeah, I think what I mean, kind of what I'm hoping to get in this critique is maybe to try and focus on more of the major aspects. I totally agree with you on the highlights, and this isn't me critiquing your critiquing style. That's getting meta. But like in the scheme of things, I think the highlights are in her face just a little blown out. But like in the scheme of things with this shot, I don't know if it necessarily like super bothers me. I think it's just like, I think the highlights are the kind of thing that my eye ends up going to after I've spent a long time on this image. And yeah. I think the location ended up working out really well for you in the shot. The building in the background is bokeh'd out enough that we can understand what it is, but I don't. It's not in focus enough for us to really be able to tell like whether it's like destroyed or grungy, or if it's actually like a pristine building. Like it kind of worked out really well for you that we can't tell, because I'm imagining it is not a grungy building. Like the more I look at it, it's probably just like a normal
like apartment building or something.
But like the fact that we can't really tell, I think works well, matching it with Fallout.
Agreed.
Okay. Any final thoughts for Amanda on this, or want to move on to the next shot?
You've improved a lot, and that's stellar. That's all I can say. Like you've seriously pretty awesome to see you grow. So keep doing it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, keep on some. Hopefully, we'll try and get on a better pace for these critiques in the near future. But keep on submitting. We'd love to see how people are improving in their photography, and special bonus credit goes to the people who end up doing any retouching on their photos after they talk about this.
Yes.
That is like the literal coolest thing to see.
Because that only happened after the first episode, and no one's done it since, and I'm sad.
Sarah's like, I'm gonna keep on mentioning it until someone does it again.
Do it. Also, it's the only way you get better is kind of just taking that critique and implementing it on the photo that was talked about. Like, I think that's one of the best ways to learn how to like improve. So.
Okay, let's move on to this next shot from Anthony or Flashcord.
Yeah, Anthony actually is a guy. He's actually pretty local to me. He was in Massachusetts.
I was hoping you were just to drop it. Anthony is a guy.
Anthony is a guy.
And just not say anything more.
Anthony, I go to a lot of mutual cons. He goes to a lot of local cons. But actually good because he's really improving pretty quickly. Especially with this image, I like the attitude in the image. I think the pose works really well along with the color grading. I really like how the shoes pop with everything. Her pose is like flawless. I really can't find too much that I really don't like about this image. To be super nitpicky, again, the only thing I would have brought down the highlights a little bit, but other than that, I really like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love the colors in this photo. Like, if there's one thing that I really struggle with, it's going for this kind of like monochromatic, like color toning look, which isn't a bad thing. So when you hear the word monochrome, don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Because I think this is done actually very well.
Yeah.
So I'm like very envious of this. And I really like how even though it was approached in that way, like the cosplayer still really pops and like components of their costume really pop. Yeah, I like it. Also, those shoes are dank. I want those.
I know.
This shot makes me wish I understood the cosplay more, because right now all I look at this and I think like, is this cosplayer ready to drop their new Fire mixtape?
Like they're ready to drop a beat for real.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, without having context and knowing what the cosplay is, I have no idea.
I'm not sure what the cosplay is, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree for the most part on the color toning. I think though, I'm just based on how the flare is coming in, just the color tone of how like intense the saturation is of the blue directly behind kind of the flare. Something about that is just throwing me off compared to the rest of kind of the blues in the image. Just feels like a bit too intense to me. And maybe that is just me because they both just finished saying how much they enjoyed the color.
Well, I think it works for it.
Mm-hmm. Compositionally, I feel like this image is just tilted a little bit. And I can't tell. I think, it's hard to tell. I think she's part of the reason is she's not centered in the middle of this alleyway. Like, she's centered in the frame, but like in the alleyway, not quite. So, and then you look at the like line directly behind her that's kind of going through her right knee, her right or left. That line is a bit tilted. And I think just that combo of like, your camera might actually have been fairly level for this shot. Like the vertical lines look right, but I think maybe just having it, you not be in the center and her not being in the center, but kind of shooting and ending up with the background, or where the walls converge, kind of having that be very centered is maybe what's throwing off the proportions of the frame just a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And it's nitpicky, I mean, but well, welcome to our critiques.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. Trying to think if I had any other things to say on it. I think really the image works really well considering how, like, I wouldn't say this is I don't know if this is a closet cosplay, but I could see it being a closet cosplay, and it works really well for that kind of casual style of cosplay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because we don't talk about this a lot, but the location just seems so. We've had 2 photos in a row now where the location is just really working for the cosplayer, whereas sometimes, or a lot of the time, the location is suffering a little bit. But here, I feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see like if there were any more shots like taken against the painted wall on the right, because that looks really interesting as well.
I can see that being good and also terrible, depending. Like, I'm trying to tell what those paintings are.
Funny because that alley.
That's what I'm afraid of.
From my house.
Oh, really?
Alley.
That's really funny.
All those paintings are paintings of cats.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Well, it's got cat ears, so maybe.
That's perfect.
Maybe that.
I think it would have worked.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been cool. Kitties.
Cool. So let's go on to the next shot. This one, we had one local photographer for you, David, and now it's one for me, with a shot from Christine W. or Fluffy Fox Photography. She is also a Wisconsin photographer, so
nice.
One of the other few Wisconsin photographers. We're few and far between. Immediately hits me. Christine submitted in most, if not all, of our critiques. I don't know if she's submitted to all of them, but she's been pretty consistent.
Definitely
in submitting.
a lot. Yeah.
And I think this is possibly the best image you've submitted, Christine. It's
really nice.
Yeah.
I love how symmetrical it is.
The framing of this shot is really good. I really dig it.
It is so dynamic.
I love these really high vertical frames. It's something I try to do ever so often in my shots, and it can be hard to do it successfully, so it's awesome that it worked out for you. Also, funny story on this. I've shot in this exact same location before, and I ended up getting kicked out, so hopefully it went smoother for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is at Anime Milwaukee. So this is at a hotel across the street, and we got kicked out because apparently the cosplayer was too risque. It not at all. It was like, okay, but
cool.
Yeah. So this framing is easily, I think, maybe out of the photos I've seen from you, Christine, this is probably one of the best framed photos I've seen of yours.
It's like nearly perfect. It's so symmetrical.
Yeah.
I know. My eyes are like, what am I looking at?
This is so awesome. And getting that level of symmetry, like even with cropping, can sometimes be really hard when you're shooting wide angle, because like if you slightly screw it up and like are a little bit off, like you're screwed.
Everything off.
Yeah. So the one area that I really there's 2 areas that I want to touch on in this one. First is the posing, and not so much the posing, but the how the cosplay is falling. So we've got Misty, who's looking off to the left there, and I want the drape of her dress to be going the opposite direction she's looking. like I want it kind of to fan out. Right now, it kind of like it feels like it's fighting her. Like you could kind of have this nice flow of motion, but like she's looking up and to the left, and the way that it's kind of curled, and like it just feels like it's fighting against each other, and it's making her shape look very rigid and upright.
So I kind of know what they were going for because I've seen this in like editorial shoots before. But unfortunately, I think her dress is just not long enough for it to work.
Yeah.
So, but I think it was like a very nice like attempt at, because I totally know like what the aesthetic that they were going for is, because I've tried doing this myself. But it does end up making, if you don't have enough fabric to like really stretch out, it does kind of like, it sounds weird, but it almost crops your model, sort of.
I almost think that's a kind of thing that would work better for a closer shot too than versus something as wide as this is.
Yeah, unless you have like a shit ton of fabric and it's draped over something and she's standing on a stool or something, like then it would be very drama. But I'm really not making a whole lot of sense tonight. It's fine. It's fine.
Couple other thoughts I had on this one. I would love to see you try to go a little I don't want to say crazy, but I want to see you take the color grade a little bit further, because I imagine this has some degree of coloring to it, just knowing probably the colors that came from shooting in this exact location. And the lighting in that location, there's probably some like color correcting, but I'd like to see like the shadows be like have like kind of that same like maroon from the drapes. I'd like to see in the shadows. I think that could be really cool.
Oh, that'd be really nice.
I want you Sarah and David, I want your thoughts on this. Either photoshopping out the, I don't know what we'd call them, the left and the right bars, question mark? I don't know what like
those detail thingies.
Yeah. So photoshopping them out or cropping. What do you think? And either of those two ideas.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. I'd have to see it photoshopped to make a decision, because I think they look okay. But I get what you're saying.
I kind of like them. I think I'm actually the I wonder if almost like you could extend it down so it doesn't stop at that middle thing, like that white.
Oh, right at that like trim or whatever.
Yeah. What if it like if you duplicated part of it and brought it down to the trim. I don't know what the hell you call this stuff. On the floor, on the wall, all the way down to the bottom, so it's not like floating on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it would look too empty if.
Right, so you guys will have to look at this on the stream, since you won't be able to see my screen. But
I'm about to paint over some stuff and just kind of see.
But I made an attempt in Photoshop to like crop and kind of Photoshop out those pieces to just kind of give it like a real quick look at it. And personally, I think it makes it look a lot more elegant.
Yeah, actually, I like it without. I'm kind of like brush tooling them out like very ratchetly. And it actually, I didn't think it would. It actually adds more drama because there's so much more emphasis now on like the red curtains, and then which then focuses your eye down on the cosplayers. So I retract my statement and say I think taking them out would be an interesting idea.
I guess, yeah, because now there's no distraction from her. It's just like the drapes just lead right to her. So
yeah. So it's funny because
it's hard because it's like I like the lines. Like I was digging the lines, and I think that's why I was liking it initially. But now that I've
it's funny because everyone in the chat was just like, "Why would you do that?" And I'm just like, I don't know.
Controversy.
Yeah.
It's funny. Reading Christine's comment. She actually says the symmetry is actually not natural in this shot, which I'm like, that's an impressively good Photoshop if you Photoshop to fix it, because there's a lot of pattern in this that could easily screw things up. But
Oh my god, someone said controversy.
This is Anthony.
oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh my god. I'm done.
Oh, that's it. We're done with the critiques. Go home, everyone.
Take
It's a
over.
wrap. It's a wrap.
Good night.
Oh my god.
So the last thought I have on this, and this one goes with kind of the technicals of the shot is, and this wide, it doesn't make nearly as much of a difference make words. It's not nearly as big of a deal, but the focus was missed just a little bit, and in a wide doesn't quite matter as much, but
Yeah,
like
you can't really. If you zoom in, I think it did miss focus.
yeah, it missed focus, but like when you're viewing it that wide, it ends up working out
Okay.
just fine.
Yeah.
And Eddie said I forgot to submit stuff. Hopefully we won't have another.
I'm giving him shit already. It's
Yeah,
fine.
we don't have another like 2-month break between things. Like Katsucon really threw off our schedule for getting these
Yeah.
done. But hopefully we'll be on a more normal schedule from here on out. So if you go to submissions.vontography.com, I'll paste that in this. If I can type. If you go to submissions.vontography.com, you should be able to submit there. If you have troubles submitting there, just message my Facebook page, and if you know me personally, just shoot me a message, and I will make sure that it gets into the next critique.
Yeah, you guys can submit them whenever. You don't have to submit
Yeah.
like until we announce that we're gonna do it, because we just keep everything in queue anyway. So.
So let's move on to the next one from Claudia, or Nick's Cosplay.
Nick's Cosplay. It was me. It's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't really I don't know if this is like a photography thing, but I thought like the emotion that she, like her like very like serious nature of this character was caught very nicely. Like I feel like sometimes it's really hard to capture this emotion on camera. Like you end up looking kind of like, I don't know, like really uncomfortable. So I think that's major kudos to like having like a good, at least to me, it's telling me that like there's a good working relationship between like the model and the photographer. I just really like how kind of like serious and like almost kind of like calm she looks before she's about to like, I don't know, fight things. I know this is from P5, but other than that, I don't really know a lot about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the location could have worked. I think the thing that's hurting it, at least for me a lot, are the palm trees in the back, which I know is a struggle if you're somewhere tropical. But maybe if it was taken at a different angle, to utilize these like urban steps a little more and not have these like tropical trees in the background, that could have helped a little bit. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think one thing I would have tried to do is have her left arm on our right, not against her side. Leave a little space, so have her arm like on her hip.
Oh, her left arm.
On her hip,
Yeah.
her left arm.
I just give that little opening peek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. The thing that's bothering me most about the pose is really nothing to do with the pose. It's the like necktie and how
The
it's
costume malfunction.
yeah, how it's like
Yeah.
it's probably a little bit of wind flopped the necktie area over there, and it just looks a little off because of it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I feel could use a little work with this shot is how the lighting is playing into this photo. It's really blown out, and that can work for some shots, But like in this one, I feel like it just gives the photo such a washed out look. Like if you look at the top of the frame, like this railing, just like completely disappears. It goes completely white. That's kind of a bummer. I think it's just like we just are losing a bit too much information. I would, based on the light direction, I'd almost want to see this shot done from the opposite direction. So from like the top of the stairs shooting down, because you're in open shade, and then based on how blown out it is, I'm assuming it looks like the light direction is coming from essentially the opposite side of the camera. So like if you turned her the other way and shot that way in this open shade with this really strong like directional light, I'm assuming we're getting from this open shade, it could look really good.
And it would also fix the problem that I mentioned earlier about the background elements. Yeah, I'm just like, for some reason I'm so distracted about the palm trees, because I feel like because they're like, I mean, next to the purple glove, they're so saturated compared to everything else.
Yeah, it's totally everything is like pink or tan and then or black, and then you get the green.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, Florida or something.
Yeah, it's distracting.
Some of the washed outness of this photo could be fixed in post though, because like really it's just a case of like the blacks like have like just all but disappeared in the shot. It just gives it a very like gray feeling to it. And you could play into it, I think, maybe if you brought some like color into those shadows. Because like right now they're just like washed out. They give like just a washed out look. But like maybe if you brought like I'm trying to think of a good color. I was gonna say red, but I don't know. This photo's pretty red to begin with. But some sort of color might work well in the shadows of this shot.
I do want to touch back on the her scarf thing blowing around, just in terms of like just keeping track of like a cosplayer's costume when you're shooting, because another thing that I wish had been fixed is like her vest. It got lifted up a bit. It must have been from when she was moving, or like when you change poses, like things lift up and then you have to like adjust. Just to be like more aware of something like that next time when you're shooting. Just make sure the costume looks as pristine as possible, because can't fix that in post. More like you don't want to fix that.
I was gonna say you can, but then you end up spending like an hour on something that would have taken like a minute or two to fix. If
like 30 seconds. Yeah. So just to be like, when you're behind the lens, I know it's hard when you're shooting. That's why I always try to bring like someone with me to help me now, because like, when you're shooting at cons and things are crazy, you just can't keep track of all that shit.
That has been one of my biggest areas of improvement, is just trying to keep an eye out for people's costumes. Because like before, like I feel like there was just so much going on that I had a hard time
focusing.
I was like composition, posing, blah blah blah, that I couldn't focus on costume. But I try and take like a couple seconds before I like take the shot after I've done the posing, to just kind of like confirm that everything is in place. And this can end up being a lot harder at shooting at cons than on location, because like let's say you're shooting at a super busy con and you're rushed, it can just be like feels so impossible to do all those things. So if you can, really try and get a second person coming on the lawn that's actually paying attention to that kind of stuff.
And when you can't, just let it be the first thing that you think of. Like, yes, posing is important, framing is important. Are your camera settings, are they important? But like, there's nothing worse than taking what you think is a great photo and then you have a costume malfunction. Like, I actually had I went an entire shoot this CostuCon actually, not realizing there was a costume malfunction, and now I have to go back, and it's fixable, but I'm kind of like, oh god, I wish I had seen that.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's bad, dude.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really bad.
Times too.
Ugh. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good, guys. We got this.
Okay, let's move on to the next shot then.
Let's do it.
This next one is from Eric Jaworski. The ooh sounded so bad, Sarah. You're just like, ew.
Ew. I love snow shots.
I know, I do too.
Now that I know what it's like to shoot in the snow.
Yeah. Well, I overall actually kind of like the image. I like the mood with her. The pose is good. I think I might have wanted to seen it a little bit maybe further out, not as closely cropped,
Mhm.
and maybe a little bit more contrast. But that's again being a little nitpicky. I'm not sure if I like the hair on the shoulder either. I would have liked that behind her, but that's also.
I'm conflicted on that because I think it does.
I'm conflicted on that too.
Yeah, because like I get why you want that, but I also
Yeah.
feel like it does add a bit more interest to the image, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think this is a photo that.
go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think this is a photo that really could benefit from some like fun color grading.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it feels pretty like kind of like like brightness was increased, the contrast was increased maybe a bit, just like very simple like clean editing is like what I like to call it.
Mhm.
But because like the character's like is this Lara Croft?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because she's all like beaten up and grungy and like battling in the snow. Like I kind of like am hoping for like that kind of like feel when I look at it. And right now it's so clean. I think it just by playing around with the colors more, it would really bring the photo to life, like, even to the next level, I think.
So I think this photo is really close. I think it's really good as it is, but I think it's one like it's one where I feel like I see a clear path to this image being better. Framing wise, her head I think is just too close to the center of the frame. I would want to like move the camera down just a little bit so like
Just have the eye in the upper third.
yeah, so her like yeah, just so that we have like less like head space on there. And honestly, like
Yeah.
I feel like even just cropping this a little bit is gonna help because like if you look at like the top of the frame, like you get the snow for perspective, but like the top like right corner of the image is just kind of a white blob, and I don't think you
Right.
I don't think you need it. Like I think it's kind of almost like hurting the image a little bit. So like if you cropped this one down a little bit, like I think it helps it a little bit. Ideally, I would like the camera lowered, but obviously you can't do that in post.
No.
So I
Yeah.
think a cropping works decently for fixing that. I totally agree with Sarah on the color grading. I actually
Like
think
that's what would really help bring it home, I think, because it's a very nice shot.
I
Yeah.
think the exposure is super clean, but I don't. It's like one of those shots where I don't want the exposure to be as perfect as it is. I kind of want it to be darker and like snow
The sun
shots. Like part of the fun of snow shots is they're supposed to make you feel cold.
Right.
And with this one kind of does it, but I think with the exposure being so bright, it kind of doesn't give you that kind of like cloudy, overcast, it's snowing, it's got like these light flurries and the light's kind of flatter and dimmer, and it just doesn't. It feels like like the lighting's really flat, but it's so bright that it makes it feel like it's not quite as cold. And I think that bringing like literally in post, you could bring the exposure down like a third of a stop, maybe a little bit more than that,
Exactly.
and then add some serious blues to this color grade.
Yeah. Just blues to the shadows.
Yeah. And suddenly then we'll all be looking at this and getting cold.
Yeah.
No more cold. I'm cold right now.
The nitpick, it's funny. Something that I would have said that's super nitpicky and that you would have needed to retouch, but I think almost works for this image in a weird way. Her lips are super chapped.
Okay, so I was
But-
I was like, are we gonna get that nitpicky? Because I was thinking that.
But
Yeah,
But-
I was thinking that too. I
but
was
she's
like,
cold and beaten and battered,
works
so
with
I'm
the
just like,
snow.
wow, it works.
Yeah.
So it's just like one of the first times I've been like, wow, lips are super chapped, but it actually kind of works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting how that kind of is something that normally doesn't work in a photo at all, and you need to retouch, works in this shot.
Who would have thought?
And then I'm also conflicted about the pose and how she's aiming the gun. Her face kind of, I don't know what the emotion is towards it. It feels rather, I don't want to say dead because it's not quite a dead look, but I don't know. I can't quite put my fingers on it. And it might just be partially for the fact that she's holding the gun straight out from her chest and not like, and looking straight at the camera lens, which is not like if think about like shooting a gun, and you need to have like the gun needs to be in your line of sight. Like if you were holding it like chest level and then also looking straight ahead at the camera, you have no idea where that gun's going. So I think that's maybe part of it. It feels really unnatural with how she's aiming.
I think the part that's throwing me up. I mean, I'm one to talk. I'm not good at doing these kinds of poses myself, but she doesn't look confident in the pose that she's doing. Like I feel like you're holding a gun up to someone or something, and her body feels very lax to me, oddly enough. So I don't like. It almost kind of looks like the photographer caught her like mid, like raising the gun, but she hasn't reached the full like stance of holding one. The other thing that I'm going to point out is, because I know people get all in a huff about this, is her fingers on the trigger.
That's fine for this shot, Sarah. She's like, I think she's shooting you. She's shooting the camera.
See the way that she looks to me. See, this is all subjective. This is what we're getting to. Like to me, it looks like she's not shooting. She's getting ready to shoot. So
yeah, but your finger would still be on the trigger for that. Like you'd be ready to. Yeah, if you're pulling up, your finger is in the finger guard, but like.
And why do people get so like?
It's when they're not. It's not when they're not aiming or shooting, and then the fingers on the trigger. That's trigger.
Or like gun up against the head, like
It's when they're not. It's when they're not prepping to shoot. It's probably.
I see people say it all the time, and I'm just like, I don't understand when, because I've never held a gun before, but. You know, I was like, I don't know when the right
someone
time
who's
is.
like hunting runs very deep in my family. I'm one of those people that is, pardon the pun, triggered by that. So I think we've nitpicked the heck out of this one though. For the fact that I think overall this shot's like pretty good. You're gonna yeah, I still like it. Like even all.
I mean, I still like it too. Like honestly, like just add some more like color grading to it. Like just bringing some things out. Like literally, it'd be great. We're just getting fine.
Cool.
Oh, he said the color for this photo isn't correct.
Okay, so if you're looking at the color, this is the unfortunate nature of the things is when it end up going on the video stream, the color changes.
Oh, I see it now.
It's
slightly different.
Yeah, I don't know why this happens.
Okay, Eric, your photo does not look like that to us.
Yeah, your photo doesn't quite look like that, and yeah, it's really weird how this happens on stream. So, and I don't know. It makes it hard to do these critiques, and hopefully, if you watch it, when we're done with this and I upload this to YouTube, maybe give it a comment on how you think about it on the YouTube upload, and then let me know, because I think that should hopefully be more accurate than the color than on the Facebook stream. I don't really know though, so maybe that's something I can figure out, like if it exists in OBS's like color profile, if it's just like exporting like it to a different color profile and changing the settings. That's something I'll look into for future critiques. That and something I want to look into for future critiques is being able to upload these to like a Flickr album so that you guys can actually
For
see
everybody to see.
these shots and not like compressed footage. So
Right.
the thing I need to do with that is I just need to put like a disclaimer with it, and I just haven't gotten around to doing that. So cool. Let's move on to the next shot though.
Let's
This next one is from Felix.
Felix.
He looks.
Hope you're watching.
um,
I'm kidding. I'm being a piece of shit. It's fine.
normal Sarah.
David.
Right off the bat, like my favorite part of this shot is how the colors are working in this photo.
Too.
Yeah.
It's funny because like normally if this skin tone that's on her is kind of like it's blue and magenta-y, and like this would be something that I would avoid in my own photos, like the devil. But because it matches the background so well, it just like makes
Yeah, it does.
makes this photo work super good. Felix Wong, no, not Felix Wong. Felix Dandy, different Felix. Probably the only other Felix photographer, but.
Oh, he's being a troll. Felix just said, "I hate
lol,
you, Gibson."
lol. Yeah, so it's interesting though how those like skin tones I think normally wouldn't work just work really well in this shot.
Yeah, I don't know how you got this to work. I don't understand.
Yeah, no.
Are these gels? Do you shoot with lights, Felix? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to question. It looks like it kind of looks gelled, but at the same time, I don't think the lighting on her looks like it was lit by a strobe. So like, I'm not really
Yeah, so I'm kind of
certain.
confused because I know where this is.
I mean,
Yeah, the wavy wall.
Yeah,
Everyone
but the
knows.
lights on there are shit.
um,
Borrowed. Oh, okay. Okay, so you did use gels. He said he borrowed Othello's umbrella.
cool.
Nice.
So the kind of on the opposite end of this is the color is kind of the I think the retouch feels a little off on this.
In what regard?
So specifically her right cheek, viewer's left cheek, I feel like we're getting some really funky shadows going on her face. And I'm trying to tell, like, I don't know if, like...
Is it her right cheek?
Her right cheek, our viewer's left, her right. It's the shadows, like, on her cheek are, like, we're getting these deep shadows, this deep shadow line on her nose. And
They're
then,
a little bumpy.
yeah,
The
texture feels weird.
I
But, like,
didn't want to say it, but...
but like also like there's a shadow where there's normally a highlight on someone's cheek, and it's throwing me
Yeah.
off. And I think honestly the retouch, like looking, I feel like there's no skin texture to her.
His beauty cam.
And it just looks like
Oh,
the
it's
texture was smoothed out, but not like but the underlying shadows still feel really funky, so it kind of almost gets this weird look to the skin that feels kind of unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick on Felix too much because I know
Oh,
he's
come
been
on,
working
we'll pick on Felix. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, because I know he's been working hard on his retouching, like, because we edit every night together.
We care because we love Felix.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it was taken, for me, a little too far. Because I know what Babutif looks like in other photos. And I feel like something just went a little too much. Like, I actually didn't know it was her until I saw the handle in the file description. So yeah, I think when it comes to these kinds of things, it's just finding that balance of like, yes, maybe you want to like enlarge their eyes, for example, but like it still, in my opinion, should look more like them at the end of the day. Like I don't want it to like look like a different human necessarily, because it's about like enhancing and like your natural features, not like getting rid of them. If that makes sense. This does not look like her really to me.
The positive thing I have is I really like the crop on this image, or well, how it was taken.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just perfect. Like the wings aren't clipped off. Everything is just
no, for sure.
Yes.
I would echo
that's hard
that.
to do.
Yeah.
Last point on the retouching, her eyes feel way too bright to me.
Yeah,
they're not quite insane, but they do come off a little bit too bright.
I think just barely though.
Yeah.
I don't think they look bad.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, like, you said they were borrowed a light for this, and then with a gel. I think it looks like the umbrella light was camera left. With the way she was posing, I would like the umbrella camera right, because then I think that clean would have the light falling a little bit more evenly on her face, and I think that would help you a little bit.
Well, I'm curious, did he use gels in the back and then use the lighting from that hallway? Because those lights go like directly above people if you had her stand underneath it.
So, someone asked just real quick. I'm gonna plug myself here because someone asked for a skin retouching tutorial. I feel like I've been bugged a lot for how I do frequency separation. So I think actually tomorrow I'm gonna try and record a tutorial as to how I do skin retouching. So hopefully that'll help people. So keep an eye out in the next few days. I'll try and get that done. And yes, it's using frequency separation. So if you're
it's like a whole new method.
Yeah.
Compared to what the internet has
I do it
right now.
very differently, I guess, than the rest of the internet. I don't know. I think honestly, this is one of those shots that even though I feel like the lighting feels a little flawed, the retouch feels a little flawed, the she's got the hair falling right in front of her eye, which I feel is a bit jarring. I feel like the color grade does so much to make this photo feel great, even though that it has a lot of weak spots in the shot. Major props on that.
Because we're real. I mean, again, as always, we're getting nitpicky with it, but as a whole, it's a nice image.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do the photogs at Katsu just fight each other over these frequently used locations? Asked Fluffy Fox Photography. Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of waiting around and being hopeful.
A lot of awkward standing and staring at each other.
Yeah, just trying to tell someone to shoot faster, but only with your eyes. Just staring at them and thinking that in your head and just being like,
Gotta learn to be patient.
Yeah, it's
don't be rude about it.
Yeah, it was a crazy Katsucon this year in terms of locations.
There's so many people.
So many.
Okay, let's go on to the next shot from Leon Cam.
Yes. Our boy.
I really like this shot.
David, so this guy has literally submitted a photo every single critique since day one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So. And as usual, got that freaking my favorite, what we call the Asian style color grading going on.
It's so nice.
It's really soft. I don't understand. Dude, Leon, you got teach us your ways. Except don't, because your secrets are great.
This is so nice.
Yeah, I as always, the lighting in this is just super even, super clean, super soft. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I really don't have anything bad to say. Your skin retouching looks great. So I know sometimes in the past we've touched upon how sometimes the facial features get a little lost, but here I think they're doing pretty good. Dude, I don't know. It's a nice image. I can get nitpicky if you want me to start with that.
We want that trademark Sarah nitpick.
Fix her bangs. They got a little, unless they're supposed to be like that, but I feel like they're supposed to be. So I just
over the left eye.
Yeah, I just learned this weekend not this weekend during Katsucon that they're called hime cut bangs. I had no idea, like the blunt, like straight across. So I feel like maybe they're supposed to be like that. I'm not really sure, but I have a feeling maybe that's how they're supposed to be, and I kind of wish maybe that little triangle wasn't there. But again, that's like it's not like a make or break point.
No, I don't think there's any make or break points in this image. It's overall really, really good.
Yeah.
So, I agree with everyone. However, I have one thought on this, which is, man, let's see if I can find out. I really want to know, and hopefully the EXIF data will tell me what this is shot at. I have a hunch it was shot at 35. Oh, dang, I'm right. Yeah. So, it's distorting her head, and it bothers me. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is if you only have a 35, I would back this shot up just a little bit.
A smidge.
Yeah, because we're just really getting some distortion on her head. Her head feels so big in retrospect for her body. I think this shot with a 50 fixes that. Or I think this shot moved back just a little bit fixes it. And it's hard to know because, like, I don't know what this location is like. It might not even be possible to shoot a 50 in here and get the same shot.
Yeah, because if it's a small stairwell, you can only go so far.
Mallow, you were going to say back this shit up, weren't you?
I mean,
yeah. So it's hard because, like, man, this shot's like, it's super good. It's just I want it, like, just that little bit of distortion on her head is throwing me off. And I don't think that, like, seeing more of her body necessarily would hurt this image either.
Yeah, actually, Utsav brought up it would have been nice if I think he said her left hand, and I agree, wasn't cropped out. I think it would have been nice to see it.
Like on her leg, maybe, or something.
Yeah, just to see it there a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be the whole thing, but the fact that it's getting, like, just completely cut off is a little odd. The same with her right leg. I kind of wish I could see her foot a little bit. But yeah, her right leg.
Yeah, her right leg.
I almost, you said right leg. Now that I look at it, I'm like, I almost completely lose her right leg.
Yeah, with the white railing.
Yeah,
on
white on the white railing. I almost didn't notice it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, killer shot. I think the biggest thing for me is the lighting is awesome and the color grade is awesome, and I love your soft style. And as Sarah said, like, teach us the ways of the soft photo editing, because I want to know
that airy look.
Yeah, it's quite lovely.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Next.
Dude, the chat is freaking popping right
Dude,
now.
the chat.
Like,
so the problem for me,
Nick
chat
is killing it right now. She's the voice of reason in this chat. Thank you, God. Keep keeping it real.
the problem I have for me, and this might be because I'm hosting the stream, it's not auto scrolling the chat for me, so that I'll, like, look and it'll be like a whole another, like, page down of comments, and I'm just like, oh shit. It's hard to follow the chat. We're getting so many comments, which is freaking amazing. Thank you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Just staring blankly into the upwards, it's because I'm looking at my second monitor at your guys' comments. So.
Okay, let's move on to this next shot from
Was that a
Maddie.
cell photo?
What?
A cell photo is here.
Apple.
Your stuff is really nice. Ethel. Yeah, sure. I was like, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, if we meant To be fair, like, if we mispronounce your name at some point on here, we're sorry, but, like, just expect it, kind of. Like, don't be surprised if we mispronounce the name.
Ethel, your stuff is so good. I've never met you before, but I like your stuff.
God, my brain has lost track. Who's starting this one off? Is it me or is it...
I am.
I think, yeah, David,
I wrote it down.
I think it's David.
Sweet!
Yeah.
Also, we keep talking more than you, so the guest should talk. Please go.
Something I really like about this is using shadows, but I think I would have liked his face to be in shade. I feel like the light's a little too hard on the face. If it was just a little bit over, or maybe have his head over towards the top of the image and have his body through the shadows, it would have looked much better.
Or even if half the face, like this would be a cool opportunity to like utilize the shadows like in a very like artistic kind of way, which I think works.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about it, because it's like trying to use shadows like that, which you don't see too often in cosplay photography. But yeah, and I kind of wish that I could see the whole right hand too. The top of the image, it gets cropped out.
Yeah, I will echo that. I think the biggest problem is just the lighting on his face is just so, like, harsh. Like, the highlights are blown out on the nose and the cheek and the forehead. That, and you have, like, shadows that are so close that, like, I feel like, yeah, you put that head right in that kind of, like, center shadow there.
Yeah, because it looks like a wide shadow.
Yeah, and I think also then maybe you could have the body. The body's like really horizontal in the frame. Then but you have these diagonals coming in. You could also have the body coming in at that diagonal, and it could be kind of extra enhance the dynamic and graphic feeling of the shot.
Yeah. And, like, JoJo really lends itself to, like, really weird angles, like, odd cropping, like, JoJo posing, all that stuff. Yeah.
You can get away with a lot.
It's funny. I feel the need to echo this. And Mallow posted in the chat that art is subjective. Yes, very much so. I think, half the things that we're talking to can be kind of objectively argued, but then the other half of this are very, very subjective based on our own personal taste. That's why we're trying to get like a guest in every time to give their own like thoughts and feel on images. That's because it's going to be different than Sarah and mine. So, I mean, take everything that we're saying with grains of salt too. Like we're giving our critique to the best of our knowledge. We are not perfect, flawless beings of photography knowledge. We are people that are, I think, decently know what we're talking about, but I don't think we'd ever argue that that like what we're saying is law in any of these photos. So like if you disagree with us on any of these shots, sweet. Like that's art. It's awesome. That's part of the beauty of it.
No, I just noticed something odd. Maybe it's just my photo, but the headband is green, but then in this one chunk where the light is hitting, it's gray.
I thought you were gonna say I noticed something odd, and it's that your opinions are wrong, but mine are always right.
Stop.
No.
Am I crazy? Like,
that's really.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and I wonder.
I'm seeing that too.
Yeah, it's super weird. Huh. I assumed that was just natural, but now that I'm looking at the shot, I'm not really sure. Like, it's also happening on the lips too. You're getting that gray like clipping from like the highlights. And I wonder.
See, I thought that was just the lipstick just fading away.
I wonder if there's the highlights are so strong that it clipped to the color information channel.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe
try to bring happening on the sweater.
But the highlights aren't blown out there though,
No.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's really interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen something quite like that before. That's really interesting.
What were you gonna say, David?
No, I was just saying that my only thought is that it has to be because it was blown out, so it lost the color data.
Yeah. Oh. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
It's really interesting. Like it's something that doesn't like necessarily even outright disturb me. It's just
No, because I didn't
Oh.
even notice it until you said something.
yeah.
The only reason I noticed is because some people are bringing up what would it look like if it was rotated, or I mean if it was vertical. Because I agree, I think this could be an interesting vertical shot, but for me, unfortunately, the angle at which it was taken, it almost works, but it doesn't because like
I like
it's
it
like
this way.
Yeah, I do too.
horizontally.
Yeah.
No, I do too, but I wanted to see what it looked like vertical because a lot of people are bringing that up, and I just wanted to see.
Mitch makes a wonderful, wonderful suggestion, and he thinks that it's
that M1 photo.
that it's highlights that were clipped, so there was no color data, and then the highlights were brought down. So
Yeah.
that so that's interesting. That's probably what the case. So I appreciate that insight there, Mitch.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Overall, even though this shot like has these kind of I'd say, I don't want to say technical errors, but that's the best word that I can come up with to describe it. I still love how graphic this shot is right now. It's like
Agreed.
Even though I don't know a lot about JoJo, it feels like it's really fitting for JoJo.
Mm-hmm. JoJo's pretty crazy. I haven't read it or anything, but just what I see on the internet, like this seems to work really well.
So this is interesting. Fluffy Fox Photography says, I want to see it Dutch angled. And like, here's the thing. This is a shot I think that would work Dutch angle. That's kind of what I was almost going for. It like, so that's what I'm getting at with Dutch angle is like, Dutch angles have their place. They're not inherently wrong. It's just like using them correctly can be very difficult.
Very hard.
Yeah, I think Dutch angle more so works with like architectural photography versus people. That's my personal opinion. But I think Dutch angle would actually work for this image.
Yeah.
Like a slight Dutch angle.
I want to see this photo if it was put in a Dutch oven for 30 minutes and baked. No. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one's by Matthew Jenkins. Gee, I wonder where this room is.
Where was this taken? I have no idea. Oh, damn.
It's so funny because I feel like the pretty much everywhere at Katsu is like you just like know instantly where everything is at Katsu at this point.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest venue, but it's got like some well-known spots.
Yeah. So I really like the vibe this shot is going for. It works super well for the Integra Helsing and kind of this, I don't want to, bourgeois is kind of like the word that comes to mind, even though it's not quite the correct term, but like the vibe of the shot.
Feeling.
But the vibe of the shot works really well with that, and who Integra is as a character, and just like everything from kind of the direction of the light and kind of how we almost get like a little bit of like it's starting to get on that like Rembrandt style lighting,
yes.
On her face. It looks really, really great. The only major downside I have with this image is it literally like it's especially strong looking at this image in thumbnail form, because I almost like when I was clicking on this image in thumbnail, I almost thought like there was a corruption on the file, because in thumbnail it looked like there was one half of an image and then the bottom half was just so dark. In thumbnail there was like no information. Oh. So I was just like, was there a corrupted file? But no, then you click open and you're like, oh yeah. It's just that the bottom half is just so dark that I feel like you lose just all this information.
Yeah. Luckily, they wouldn't have to do a whole lot to bring some of those shadows down. That would be a really simple fix.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's just too dark there.
It is, yeah.
Or even just giving a little more headspace to get rid of the
Yeah.
the
True.
darkness
Yeah,
in the
I
bottom.
think that could help out a lot too.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting because then you would have seen more of the mirror with the chandeliers in the background.
Yeah.
I kind of wish the lamp wasn't there.
Yeah.
I know. I'm kind of feeling that too, or like the no lamp or more of the lamp. I
So
don't know.
so it's I think it's like a
Something.
symmetry thing. I either want a lamp on the
Yes.
other side or no lamp.
Exactly. Because it is almost perfectly symmetrical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's framed really nicely. All the lines are perfectly straight. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely that.
It's also hard because like every time I look at this, I feel like it needs like a rim light for like the bottom half of it to pop her out a little bit. But like the top half of the image, I love the lighting.
Me too.
So like this is almost, and the fact that you've split this image almost exactly in half. It's like crazy. Like I pulling up in Photoshop, if you were to split this image exactly in half, the
Is it
halfway
at half?
the halfway line is literally where the desk or the like
Oh,
countertop
damn.
starts. It's exactly
Oh,
there.
yeah. It's
Like,
dead center.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm not saying like kind of. I'm saying like maybe within like
is.
3 pixels of being the exact middle of the photo.
That's
So it's
crazy.
it's but like it really does make it feel almost like it has this image has like 2 sides to it. So I do think it needs to just be brightened up on the bottom half to not like feel like kind of 2 separate sides of an image.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts? I think like even though the color toning of this doesn't feel too extreme, it really works for the image as well. It's subtle, but it's got like a bit of this
It gives it
sepia,
mood.
the sepia tone, and it just fits the mood super well. Especially like the mood of this room. Just even though it's like a weird hallway, it really does feel like a room here.
Yeah.
It feels great.
It's like the one time you'll hear me say that it doesn't need more color grading.
Yeah.
Because you guys know I live for that, so.
Yeah. Okay, ready to move on to the next shot?
Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Sarah.
Sarah critiquing Sarah.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
weird.
too meta. We need to stop.
That's too meta for me. I really like the location that this was shot at. I don't know what this character is, but I like the I don't say furry, but like the nature feel that it gives. And I really like the way the light is hitting her face. Like I think it's like super flattering for her.
Super flattering.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of unfortunate though is that this was missed focus.
Yeah.
It looks like your lens caught focus on like the wheat things in the field and not her face. Yeah. So I think if the focus had been on her face and not these like grass thingies, this would have been like a pretty strong shot in my opinion. I like the muted greens. I like the bokeh flare thing on the right or whatever that is. I don't know. Yeah. So that's the one thing that I noticed was that the focus was missed on this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like sometimes I feel like a little bit of missed focus and you can just get away with it and like it's not too bad, but this shot it really is kind of it just I feel like you lose the clarity on her even though she doesn't like it's like weird in a way because like it doesn't look like insanely out of focus to your eye, but you just lose enough clarity on her face that it just feels off.
And I think the other unfortunate part is like, when you do miss focus, sometimes it's not super obvious what was caught in focus, whereas here it is really obvious, like right away, like what is in focus. So you have that thing to compare it to, like right away. Stupid grass thingies. God damn it.
And to be fair, this is a problem that we all encounter. Like, man.
Yeah, if y'all think my photos are in focus, that's a joke.
If I had $1 for every shot that I took that was out of focus like this, I would be a very, very wealthy person.
Same. It's right.
The one thing I want to talk about with this shot is the framing of it. I think this is one of those shots that is really close on the framing, but like just a little bit of cropping in, and I think it ends up being a bit stronger. The headroom that you have over the cosplayer is just a bit too much for my eyes, I feel. I want it brought down just a little bit, and like I'm kind of, maybe this is just because I'm a sucker for like these ultra wide shots, like 16:9 shots. But like I almost want this to be wider than a 16:9. Bring it down so that like her eyes are falling on the upper third of the image. So you're taking off like half the, like you're cutting the headroom above her in half essentially. So she feels kind of more centered in the frame vertically, and then you have this really neat horizontal shot, because like the width is used very nicely in the shot because the two umbrellas, like it makes it feel like the space to the right of her is used well. So that super wide format works awesome for this shot. I did kind of a crop on my own screen to see what it would look like, and I really like how it looks for that. So
I just did it too. Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, I did the same in Lightroom. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, it doesn't need much, but it really makes the shot sing, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think the missed focus is like the biggest deal. It's still a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have obviously liked it a little bit more in focus, but I don't think it really ruins the image.
No, I'd agree.
Oh, no, not at all.
Come on, you gotta get on a level with nitpickiness, David. Jeez, didn't we leave the menu?
Okay,
let it out.
One little nitpicky thing, super nitpicky, is this one grass. This one grass that's going like up against the right side of her or her left cheek.
Yep.
I would like not to be there.
I love it was like I set you up and you just caught that ball and dunked it. I appreciate that.
That was one thing I would have taken the time to edit out, because I feel like it's almost looking like she's looking at it.
The nitpicky thing I have is kind of color grading and kind of like just the general skin tone. Her skin tone reads as super red in this image. At least to me it does, and you're probably like seeing it on the stream are gonna be like, it doesn't look nearly as red, and that's because this, for whatever reason, the video uploads like really screws with the colors.
Hot garbage.
Yeah. But like I would like to see kind of like it just taking her skin tones taken a little bit more towards a little bit towards orange versus how red it is in this image. And then I think even just playing around like with the greens a bit more, they're kind of this yellowy green, and I almost want them to be a bit warmer. Normally I take my greens to cooler, but I think in this image taking them to warmer could be really, really neat. Any other final thoughts on this one, or should we move on to the next shot?
I think we'll go to the next one.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we're going to move on.
Then the next one is by TJ.
Yeah, I absolutely love this composite. I think it works so well for the character, for the cosplay.
It's pretty neat.
I know, it is. It's really cool. I mean, the only thing, I guess, is the mask covering her right eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that tiny, like, it's such a good image, but then I'm like, that's one thing that just I keep looking at.
This is one of the like for a composite that's a fairly simple composite, this one just really works well. Like
Super well.
normally
The
this stuff can look
color.
really cheesy and I don't like it. This
Yeah.
somehow just manages not to feel that way, and I don't know how, because like
I know,
like
there's a
I
lot.
look at it and I say, based on everything I know, this image should feel cheesy and cheap to me, but it doesn't,
No.
and it's awesome.
How do you do that?
But like it is weird, because like it is the kind of thing that I feel does normally feel cheesy and cheap. It just doesn't for this shot, and yeah, I like it.
I'm impressed.
I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
Yeah, it's the really the glow that's coming from the image just ends up feeling like totally natural with the lighting on her. And I think that's what really sells it. It's probably where the natural light direction for this image was coming from, or roughly thereabout anyways. So that's why it's reading as really well.
I really can't find much to complain about.
Man, it's so hard, because like the only thing that is feeling a bit weird to me is kind of the lines coming off of her on like her right arm by her elbow.
Oh, our left.
Yeah, our left, her right.
Oh yeah. I didn't notice
That's really
that,
interesting. It kind of looks like it's coming from the top of her head too.
Yeah,
slightly.
it is. I think
part of the texture.
Yeah, I think it's part of the texture. I think it was some sort of like either a texture overlay, or like the layer was duplicated and some kind of like motion blur was applied, vertical motion blur, because it does kind of, it feels like it does match up with what's there in the image a bit, you know?
Yeah.
It just is kind of confusing, and it like is the one area of the composite that kind of like, once my eyes are get onto it, it kind of confuses me a little bit.
Yeah.
Sarah, anything you can pick out?
I mean, this is like, I mean, I can't composite, so sometimes I feel weird like commenting on these things, but I wish it was grounded in some kind of way, because the way that her leg is sitting and her foot, like it's a little confusing to me that
like it should be on something.
Yeah, there's no floor, but I mean, there doesn't have to be like, it's not like you have to take like a wooden floor and plop it in there, but like some kind of shadow or like something, because that's naturally what would be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can see a shadow sort of on the right by one of her tails. So I think if that was applied like more, like especially like her hand, especially, I think that's what like tipped me off a bit. Yeah, if there was just like some kind of shadow like in the back and like underneath her body, just to give us some kind of like ground or horizon that she's like sitting on, that would have been nice.
Nick mentioned this in the chat, and I agree with her. Is the eyes on the mask feel like just a little off as well? Like they're so like, this shot has a lot of dimensionality to it, and the eyes in the mask feel like super flat. And I don't know if that's the way.
They could have been darkened a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how the eyes work. Like I either want them darkened or I want them glowing. Like one of the two. Like
I think I would like them glowing with everything else.
Yeah, I feel like in this shot, like having them glowing could be really, really neat.
Yeah.
Someone brought up that they're kind of confused by the pose, and I think that can be fixed by having some kind of grounding to the photo.
Yeah. But like, this is one of those shots where I feel like it starts being a little bit more difficult the more you look at it. But like when you first look at this image, it's one that like draws your eyes in like super quick. Ready to move on to the next shot?
I believe so.
This one is from Trainer, or Stray Photo. straight photography, I should say. This shot, looking at it, it feels like your classic like con hallway shot portrait, like kind of like doing the absolute best with the surrounding areas.
Which can be a mega struggle, boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love how like the lighting feels. I'm assuming a little bit that this is like a like hallway shot that you took at a con. It feels like it. I don't know. Correct me if that is not the case, but that's definitely how I feel. And I'm taking that into account with this shot because I feel like given that situation, this looks really clean and really nice. Like if you're looking to get like a nice style like portrait shot while you're like that's what you're aiming for while you're like grabbing cosplayers and walking around the con, or like, you know, you're shutting up quick shoots, I think this really works well.
Yeah.
The one bummer here is that the focus was missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slightly. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one where similar to the last photo that was also not the last photo that was missed focus, not the last photo we talked about, but of Shiro cosplay that it's not enough to kill the image, but it does kind of like throw it off. Like if you had this nailed focus, I think like just having the sharpness on her face really would sell the image a lot more. Like, because like I feel like the part that we're having focus kind of it's taking my eyes to areas of this image that I don't necessarily feel like my eyes should be dwelling as long as should be on. Like I end up looking at kind of like the zipper on the side of her costume. And like it's not like the focus isn't that drastic, but I think, you know, it's not as strong on her face as it needs to be, so like my eyes can kind of wander around the image a bit more, which is kind of just a bummer. But the color of the shot for a hallway shot like this is super nice as well.
Super
like,
nice, because these can be very, very yellow, but you somehow lucked out.
I assume that's a window to the back. Excuse me, back
So.
right.
Yeah,
Kind of looks like a window, and it just kind of, I don't know. It's really, given what I'm kind of assuming for this shot, I think it's really lovely.
Agreed.
Any other thoughts on this one?
Just a nitpicky thing again is just her elbow cut off.
Yeah,
I would like to see the whole elbow in there.
I almost would go the opposite direction and crop this image a little bit and a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I think it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
one or the other though.
It's like basically just kind of like making it look like it was done with intent, not just kind of like, this is all I could do and bye.
And then accidentally clipped off the elbow.
Yeah.
I'd say though, for like a hall shot, like I think what we're assuming this is, it's very well done. I struggle with hall shots a lot, so I think it's nice.
If I was her, I'd be happy to get this back.
Seriously, I'd be like, damn, there's no people in the background.
Also, her smile feels really good in this image. Like,
I love her smile.
It's really good.
Her expression is perfect.
Someone commented on her hair. They were like, "Is this realistic, or is the wig really realistic, or is their actual hair just gorgeous?" And I was like, "It's definitely their actual hair," and I'm pretty jealous.
I think that's her actual hair.
It's real hair, and I'm like, "Damn, how does someone's hair look that good at a con?" What?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, let's move on to the next shot from Gustav.
A piece of light.
Another local
Oops.
photographer to me. Not
Oh,
just-
really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
He introduced himself to both Sarah and I at Katsu, so it's kind of fun.
Oh, did
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Thank you for taking
Yeah.
my photo.
I think Sarah, this one is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tee us off, Sarah.
This is another example where the light is really nice. Like it just feels like super clean.
Yes.
It's hitting her face like just perfectly.
Yep.
I really like it's just really flattering on her, which I really dig. And I love the setting too because it's supposed to be poison ivy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to see like her like with greenery and stuff because I know a lot of times it's like when you shoot these at cons or something, like you don't get that opportunity. So the fact that you're able to find a location that works for the character is really nice. I'm touching on that a lot this time. This is an instance where I'm not sure how is it Dutch angled? I can't tell.
It is. It's definitely Dutch angled.
Okay. I couldn't
But
tell.
like
if
you
the
could,
background's, like, really
you
spread
could also
out.
read it as not Dutch angled. You can tell by the way her hair is falling and the tree in the
Right?
background. But like it's one that I like it because it makes me think about like, is this Dutch angled? Is this not?
And it is, but I don't dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because like I think the past examples we've had of Dutch angle that we bring up, it's pretty obvious that that's what's happening. Whereas here, like you do have to think about it for a second.
Yeah,
it's
not
love that she's falling, but I don't know. I don't dislike it though.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Just figured I'd reiterate this point because it was said in the chat. Like, if you've missed anything in this will be up on YouTube as well as if you want to watch the recap on Facebook. I just wanted to quick get that out of the way because I saw that Matt said he missed his, so don't worry, you'll be able to watch it, just not live. Sorry, just wanted to say that real quick. The one area that's throwing me off on this image is a bit of the pose.
I think the pose is great.
Yes, but there's some very nitpicky things I have because I'm nitpicky. I don't know.
Of course.
What I don't like is how straight on her chin is with her neck. Her head ends up going straight into her neck, and like it kind of her body is so dynamic in this shot, and I really like how dynamic it is. But then, like,
there's that.
Then so you kind of like her neck into her head feels so straight that it kind of lose a bit of the dynamicism. Sure, let's pretend that's the word.
I never know how to say that word. It's fine.
The second is the way that the orange, like the jacket section of it is falling on her, like her on the left side of her body. I kind of wish it was falling a bit more because I feel like you lose a bit of the shape of her because of how it comes down.
Yeah.
I just wish it was falling a bit further off of her so we could get more of that shape of her instead of the shape of the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like overall, I really like the shot. I think it could work well with if the greens were a bit deeper to match kind of the greens on her top.
Her top.
Yeah.
But
that would have been nice.
But yeah, it's solid. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Okay.
There's really nothing else like a farm.
Yeah. Then let us move on to the final shot of the critique. This one is by William.
Another local photographer.
Man,
what?
they heard they must have heard. They're like, oh shit, David's on. We gotta all submit.
Ah.
Which awesome if that's the case.
Yep. Again, this shot, I think I really can't find much I don't like about it. I love the cropping. I love how close it is. The light, how it's like making her glow. Absolutely love that. I love the color of the trees in the background. It contrasts really well with her hair. Um, Maybe I would have liked to see a little retouching of the wig.
This
Like the one thing that I think needs a lot of help is the wig. Like that is
this
the
shot
one thing
reminds me how much I hate wigs. Like that's what this
Yeah,
shot's doing.
exactly.
Mhm.
Because I think this is a really, really beautiful shot, but the only thing that's throwing me off is the wig.
Agreed. It's just so unfortunate because, like, you're right. I love the complementary reds and greens in this
Mhm.
shot, and like they're very like nice hues of a green. Because as you know, Andrew and I are a sucker for those like more blue greens, or is what we like to
Yeah.
call Miss Mallow greens. Anyway, um, yeah, it's just the colors are beautiful. The bokeh is beautiful, and then we have why wigs are the worst, and it sucks that it's
Yep.
very prominent in the photo.
Yep.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you, David, on the cropping. I think it's just a bit too close for my liking.
Okay.
I would like to see it just pulled back a little bit. So,
Like more of her shoulders.
yeah, I was gonna say I want to see kind of to her shoulders, like maybe get like where cut off just below where her collarbone would be. Because I think it's just we're losing a bit of context, and also it's hard for like cosplay shots because like, and maybe this is something she specifically asked for this photo. I have no idea, and just inferring, but like when you're wearing a cosplay, most of your cosplay is from the neck down, or like a substantial so like
True.
this kind of a shot, like I would just like to get a bit more of the costume because then it also helps you understand the character and who the character is a bit more. The other thing that I kind of wish was more consistent is the background colors. The behind her on the left side of the frame is this kind of this like deeply fiery colors, and then on the right it's kind of these more yellows
Yeah.
and greens, and I don't have a problem with either of them. I just wish it was consistent across the board, so that it was either both, so that both sides were like that.
I would have loved to see the whole background with the red.
Yeah, same. I think that's a really
Like,
interesting.
damn. And that's a pretty easy fix too.
Mhm. Yeah,
What are you saying?
but yeah, it's that color is so strong. It almost would maybe be a bit too strong contrast wise applied to the whole image if you took the left side and applied it to the right, because like the right is really has like a lot softer of shadows, and I like the softness in that shadow. So like maybe if the two of them could make friends and create a beautiful middle ground.
Ooh.
Yeah, but like overall the bokeh is awesome, and also flyaways are the worst.
Yeah, dude. Bring a brush. Have a brush with you. You can't trust a cosplayer to bring a brush with them every time. Trust me. As a cosplayer, I don't do that. So
I lost the brush that I used to keep in my camera bag, and I'm like, damn it.
Get that brush, guys. Just keep it in your camera bag. Good to go.
Yeah. That's a good piece of it. And then also remembering that you have it in your camera bag and actually using it, because like
That's fucking rad.
yeah, because there's
like,
a bunch
I'll
of
do that. I'll
Yeah.
rate it, and
Just,
I'm like, oh
preoccupied.
shit.
yeah. Cool. And that was the final image of this critique. So sweet. Thanks everyone who came in the chat this time and watched this live, because this I think was the most amount of people we've ever had talking in this in a critique, and it was really awesome seeing you guys make comments. It was super cool and made this lots of fun. So like major props to all you guys. Would love to hear your feedback on how this is going. Like every time we're trying to improve, we tried to clean up the format of this a little bit to kind of make it a little bit quicker, because we've spent some serious time on shots before, and I think it kind of could get a little dragging. So hopefully you felt this was snappier, but also didn't didn't lose too much content of that valuable critique time.
Wait, they're asking for brush recommendations. I have one. Wait, this is very important because this brush is the best, and it's not a wig brush.
I just have a super simple wide tooth comb.
No, y'all are doing it wrong. Y'all are doing it wrong.
Kathy asks if we're doing. Can we do this again? Yeah, this was episode 7. We're certainly going to do more. I can't tell you exactly the date that we're going to have because it usually depends on who our next guest is and when their availability is, and then if I have time and Sarah has time. So, hopefully, sometime next month we will get to it. Maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit later. We're aimed for once a month to do these. The timing ends up being a little bit of a question mark because some things get thrown off. Like we missed February completely because the first time we were gonna do it, Sarah completely lost her voice, so that was like not gonna happen.
Yeah, I couldn't talk.
and then Katsu happened, so we couldn't.
And we were dead.
Yeah, and
we're still dead inside. It's fun, guys.
It was funny. I think Sarah and I we immediately put I think it was the week after Katsu we initially put for your critique, and then that was coming up, and I think I was just like, no. I
was like, Andrew, no, I'm tired. I gotta edit.
So yeah, that's like I was saying, I don't know when we're gonna do the next one, but certainly we'll do it again. If you want to submit right away, if you go to submissions.vontography.com, I will paste that in the chat for you guys if you want to go there to visit it. It's an uploader that I have on my site. It's mildly it works decently, but some people have had problems with it. If you have problems, just message me. If you know me personally, shoot me on my personal page. If you don't know me personally, go to my Vontography page on Facebook and then shoot me a message, and I will include it in the next one. If you have any final questions for us in the chat, we can answer those quick for you before we wrap things fully up here.
I posted the brush because now people are freaking out. This thing is the best, and y'all should buy it. And it's small, it's compact, it's great. Fuck wig brushes. Wire brushes are the worst. Combs are shit. Get this thing, trust me. I have tried everything, and these things never fail. It doesn't matter what kind of wig you have. It doesn't matter if you're Arta or cheap Taobao wig. These brushes work on everything. I don't see a link for the brush in the comments. What? But I've posted it twice. I just posted it. Why is this being fucking dumb?
I see it, so I don't know.
I saw it. Clicked on it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, buy this brush. It's great.
Want to give David or Sohno Photos a huge thanks for coming on.
Thank
you for joining us.
Yeah, he was. Both Sarah and I just met him at KatsuCon, and it's been great getting to know him, and his work is awesome. And if you don't follow his page, do so. Both on Instagram and Facebook, because let's be real, Facebook is
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Or Twitter. I don't have a Twitter yet. I should probably do that.
Oh, David has realized the wrath of Twitter almost instantly.
It's pretty warm welcome. I started it yesterday, and I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. What file format for submissions? JPEG's totally fine. Yeah, that's. I would opt for giving us the highest quality image that you can, so we just there's no questions of was this in focus or that kind of stuff. So the higher res you have, the better. You don't feel that you absolutely need to send us the full resolution. Like if it's a 42 megapixel image, it's fine if you send a little bit smaller one. But I just don't want to get I think actually on my uploader I have a resolution limitation, but like I just don't want to be like reviewing via postage stamps or like via like Facebook quality images where like the image has been like super compressed and it's really ugly. Because like I don't want to be reviewing based on shit that's like not actually in the image.
Mhm.
Someone's asking if it needs to be a recent photo.
No, it does not. It does not need to be on a recent photo. If you feel like, and also I want to say this again, and I feel like I've said this a bunch, is don't feel like it needs to be your best photo either. Like this isn't supposed to be like a trophy showcase or like a battle of who has the best photos. Like the goal here is to learn, and if you feel like you learned, then like awesome that we're doing our job and like this is all working great. If you feel like you got to show off your photo to the world and you didn't learn anything, well then that just sucks for everyone.
Then we're fucking up and
we're fucking up and then or yeah, like or you're just like submitting your like best photo ever.
So, okay, my friend is asking, how novice are the photos you would consider reviewing? There's no such thing as too beginner. Like, are you doing a point and shoot? I don't care. DSLR? I don't care. If you just want just submit anything. I mean, maybe
I was gonna say like if you submit one that's via your smartphone and it's like not in focus,
iPhone X.
That's where we'll draw the line. Honestly, the biggest thing is like if your photo looks like you were trying to take a cosplay photo and you want to learn from it, that's the only requirement. Like, I mean, I think you can tell from the shots that we had in this critique, there was a wide range of skill levels in the shots and a wide range of gear and what have you. There's no like lower level or like upper level of this. It's just whether you want to be critiqued. I mean,
across all three of us right now, that like we all three of us use very different gear. So yeah, don't worry about it. Like, I was using like a really cheapo lens for the longest time. As everyone loves to laugh about it. But it just goes to prove that like it doesn't matter. So
I was just laughing. I was just laughing because Mallow said I'll start my own critique stream called Weeb Critiques.
Oh hell yeah! I would watch that. It doesn't matter. So
I was just laughing.
Oh man!
Said I'll have my own critique stream called Weeb Critiques.
I don't know where the echo's coming from all of a sudden. Oh my god!
Sorry, fam. What's happening?
It's just one man.
Well, I think with that, it's time to call this an end of a stream with this terrible echo sending us off.
On us right now.
Well, that's about right for this. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. If you still have more questions, we'll probably be hanging out in the chat for this for a little bit. If you have feedback and if you've watched this later and you still have like questions for us, go ahead and just ask or leave feedback. We love it. Thank you guys for being awesome, and thank you all. Special thanks for everyone who submitted. I hope you guys learned and I appreciated that you opened yourself up to this critique because it can be scary, but I'm hoping it's not as scary as you thought. Some of you might think it might be, because we just really want you guys to learn, and I wish I had a critique to submit to. Should just sneak my own photos in here from time to time and be like,
we'll just talk shit about our own stuff next time.
Well, thank you all for joining, and have an awesome rest of your night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.